You're listening to the LA Football Podcast.
Hey, what's going on? Los Angeles, what's up, USC Trojan fans? This is your Trojan Huddle coming at you. Ryan Dyrett here. This is the LA Football Show. Doing a quick recap from fall camp today. This is Monday, one of the last days of fall camp. Wednesday is our last media day of access. They'll round out the week, do kind of walkthroughs on Friday, and then we have game week preparation next week. It's insane how fast fall camp is going by. 14 practices, and, they've all been very important, obviously, to getting this team where they want to go. It's been a blast being able to, be out there and see this team and how they've, progressed. Obviously, we don't get to see a lot of action, but we get to see some stuff in the beginning and then get to talk to coaches and players afterwards. So wanted to give my quick update. I kind of have some observations that I was able to see, and then I actually have some video we'll play of Lincoln Riley's presser, and I'll have some comments after that. And then Alex Grinch, defensive coordinator's presser, and have some comments after that. So it'd be a quick one. Obviously not with my co-host tonight, but I just want to jump on here and kind of give some tidbits from fall camp as we transition into actual game week coming up. August 26th, hosting San Jose State at the Collie. Cannot wait. Excited to see all of you there. Hopefully, anyone that watches or listens or subscribed, hit me up. We'd love to say hi to you if you're going to be at the game. Would love to meet more people as this season progresses, and I really kind of dive into the USC beat. We're trying to grow this realm, obviously, of the network, and obviously it's all because of you, because of our community, our LA football community, and this is, the USC community. And so whatever we can do to kind of meet, mingle, build this community up, I want to be a part of that. So hit me up, Ryan Dyrett, LAFB on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. But shoot me a message. DMs are open. Would love to chat with you guys. So real quickly, show is always brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag today. Use that promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. Gets you a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Tell them the guys at the LA Football Network sent you. So, whenever you do these things solo, got to let your whistle. The pipes get a little dry, so I apologize if there's some pauses if you're on audio and you can't see, but that's just me taking a quick refresher, if you will. I say show's also brought to you by Jim Beam, if we want to do that. But anyway, good day out here, out at USC campus. Beautiful day. At the time practice started 2:55. It was a nice, I think, like 78 degrees. Had cooled off a little bit. There was a nice breeze. Felt like a nice ocean breeze, even though we're pretty inland there near downtown. But beautiful day as before we get back to the heat, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I'm sure Wednesday's practice will be feeling a little differently. But good practice overall from what I was able to surmise. So again, we see the first 20 minutes or so, but a couple observations. Did get to see some punt return action. Two guys taking the punt returns were Zach Branch, obviously the beloved freshman that is going to be dominant. As a freshman, is going to be very involved as a receiver. But if he wins this punt return job, obviously can be very involved on special teams as well. And that'll allow him to kind of ease into the offense because they do have so much depth at receiver, do have so many mouths to feed, as we've talked about so many times. They have two Bolitnikoff, watch list players in Tahj Washington and Dorian Singer, and not even to mention, obviously, Mario Williams and Brenden Rice and all the other great athletes that they have at that position. And Zach Branch is just another on the list. So, but he was shagging punts, looking pretty good, looking fairly comfortable. Lost some tracking. It wasn't I don't want to say it wasn't a serious drill, but it wasn't necessarily, it obviously wasn't full contact. They're just in shells today. And so, there wasn't I will just say a sense of urgency for the returners to make sure they were correctly fielding every punt. It was more of kind of situational, practicing catching when they were in the right position, trying to read these things right, but it wasn't like, an actual live action. So the other one catching punts was Raleek Brown. And Raleek Brown looked great as well. I think what's been fun to watch about Raleek Brown, and Coach Briley talked about him, which you'll hear later on when I play the video. But as he's transitioned to this, from running back to the receiving room, and specifically the slot receiving room, we've also seen him just kind of really be in a lot of different situations, just, being that player that kind of says, hey, I want to be here. I want to make an impact on this program. I was a highly touted recruit when I came over here, and now seeing as I had to switch positions, but use me where fit, where I can help this team. And I haven't, he was at media day, but I haven't had a one-on-one conversation with him. But when you see guys that are now doing things on special teams, and I did punt return as a in high school football, and it's obviously there can be glorious situations if you get a great return, if you're returning for a touchdown, but there can also be very lonely situations if you muff a punt or put your team in a bad position or bad field position. So, and also obviously there's the whole issue of just getting absolutely destroyed by the punt team running full speed while you're just literally by yourself on an island catching a ball that's 50 plus yards in the air and screaming 60 yards across the field. So it's a difficult position. I don't think punt return gets enough love just because it's a jarring position to play. So I love seeing Raleek Brown that has thrown himself in that situation with the ability. Looked good. Him and from what I could tell, again, it wasn't like a live action, but him and Zach Branch both looked very comfortable back there catching punts and, the situation, what they were trying to do. So we'll see who wins that starting job. I would say as of right now, this is complete guessing, but I would probably lean Raleek Brown. We'll get that gig at the jump, at least in week 1 against San Jose State. I'll obviously keep you guys updated. Another practice this week, and then obviously the game week coming here next week. A week of practices we'll be able to watch. So, but that's what I could surmise from right now, and I think there should be excitement because, Gary Bryant Jr. most of the return work last year, and it didn't do anything to hurt the team, but there certainly wasn't as many, I would say, electrifying plays on special teams. It was kind of a just basically get the ball back for offense and not screw it up. So which he didn't overall, which is what you want. But I think if these two guys, Zach Branch and Raleek Brown, there could be some fireworks for that position, which that's just another element to this team. We already have, we already talk about how deep the offensive, how much the defense has shown improvement and has added so much depth. And if you can add special teams as a weapon, well, now you're really a championship caliber team, which obviously is the goal and what you're striving for, but you have to win in all 3 phases. And last year, I think we saw them win a lot on offense. You have the best quarterback in the world, didn't win a lot of defense, and special teams was kind of a wash. And they actually did some, lost some on special teams, most notably an onside kick situation or some other stuff that they didn't execute properly. So if they can really enhance the special teams to be a weapon as well, and having these 2 players in that situation could certainly help that. So that was really kind of the big takeaway. Other than that, you're looking at some individual drills, some stretching. I like what I'm seeing from Raleek. Just to stick with these 2 guys real quick. We were able to see at least some passing and catching from the quarterbacks to the receivers. And, I think Raleek Brown just looks explosive. And here's a guy that, we talked about kind of, Jamal and I talked about, I'm trying to think back when, after this, maybe in March, April, after spring camp, maybe. And yeah, I think it was after the spring game. And okay, here's a guy that's had to transition to a new position. Is he going to be the odd man out? Is he going to end up transferring because of all these mouths to feed? They moved him from the running back room, which is what he recruited for, over to the receiving room, which was even deeper than we thought at the time. Or it is really deep, but we know the running backs now are really good as well, but is even deeper theoretically. So what role is he going to have? And so talking obviously about the special teams like I just did, but how explosive he does look just in these individual drills. I mean, I'm talking about the way he plants his feet. He's able to cut on a dime. Just looks so fluid in his route running, and he's catching the ball well too. So I think he's done a lot to where he puts this coaching staff in a situation that it's going to be hard not to give him some reps in these games. And that's exciting because we know how deep and how talented we haven't even talked about Deuce Robinson hardly at all, who's just an unbelievable specimen as a freshman, and Makai Lemon, who Lincoln Riley talked about. And I'll comment on that after the video, but these are the guys we haven't even talked about yet. And you just obviously have all the big names in, Singer, everyone I mentioned earlier. So I think it's really exciting to see, Raleek Brown, how he's progressed kind of through spring camp and now fall camp leading into week 1. And I think he's only going to get better and better. So those were basic takeaways from camp. I'd like to now play the Lincoln Riley interview so you can hear that. Apologize. Audio is not great. We're out here live on the field. I'm using my phone to record. And there's whistles going on. There's lawnmowers going on. There's people yelling in the background. So I apologize. It's not the best audio, but you can kind of get the gist and, at least get some facts from it. So here is Lincoln Riley, Monday, 8/14 press conference after USC practice.
Lemon? Oh, yeah. Not overshadowed on this field. He's been awesome. He really didn't have spring. He had 1.5 practices and got injured, and then wasn't available the rest of spring. So, in a lot of ways, we were, in some ways, kind of felt like he was brand new here for fall camp. And he's had an awesome camp. He is. We've been able to move him around position-wise. He sounded well mentally. He stayed healthy. He's a dynamic playmaker. I don't know what's been selling outside. He's not ever overshadowed on this one.
How was Malachi Nelson progressing this spring?
Much better. He was not super healthy during the spring, and so physically it's been a 180. And I would say even mentally too. It was great for him to get the reps this spring. He wasn't. He was probably operating below 50% physical capability at that point, but. We're glad that he went through it. He's glad that he went through it. It certainly made him better. The competition's made him better. Having 3 other experienced guys in the room has made him better. It's a good room. There's a lot of conversations. Guys are competing, but they also help each other and push each other. And much improved. I think much more confident. And certainly a high seed. He's done well. We've had a couple of guys banged up, so he's had a chance to get a lot of reps. Listen, it's when you make a position change, right? No matter how talented you are in the league, so obviously a very talented player. There is hey Dorian. There's going to be a transition, right? Like when you've never done that full time. This is not just go out there and run a route or two, right? This is not just go out there and learn to block this one thing. Like there's a lot more to it. So he's had some really good patches. He's had some rough patches, but I do feel like for him, long term, both here and in the future, with his size and skill set, that it makes sense.
What's the step to you in the latest scrimmage? You mentioned Zion Branch in the last one. Was there one guy in particular who's doing it?
I was trying to think right now. Miller really scrimmaged well at the quarterback position. He had a really strong scrimmage. Both of the young backs, Clayton and Marion, had some really nice plays in the scrimmage. I thought they really showed up. Defensively, Tackett continues to show up a lot, without a doubt. I thought we had some really good pressure on the defensive front. Jamil and those guys, doing a really nice job. There was a lot. It was a cleaner scrimmage on both sides. There was a lot of good work. It looked a lot. Just looked a lot cleaner than the first scrimmage, which it should, right? Guys are making progress, and we got a chance to rep a lot of our young guys, and they needed that. So very competitive, very back and forth. Kind of the opposite of the first scrimmage. Offense started a little faster in this scrimmage, and then the defense closed well. The other scrimmage was kind of the opposite. So it's been pretty good.
What's the status of Eric, Shane, and Rajon, and just the state of that position overall, linebacker?
Yeah, all doing well. That's a couple of those guys haven't been full go the whole way. Shane got picked up a little bit early in camp, and has been limited here for the first part of camp. I think we all certainly expect him back. I expect that he's going to factor in. Hard to imagine that he wouldn't. A little bit the same for Eric. Eric's been able to get a lot of good work. Hasn't missed quite as much as Shane, but obviously with missing spring, we got to get him back. Got to get him back full go. He's close. I mean, nobody's got anything in the serious nature. It's just a few nagging things that we need to get past. But it's been a great thing. It's been great for Mason and Tackett. It's been great for Rajon. He's back full go now. It's been great for Chris Thompson. It's been great for Harrison Madden. Those guys have gotten a lot of reps, and but it is a deeper room. Had been limited last year. I don't think the answers would have been there as strong. So I'm sure that's a room that's going to continue evolving as the year goes on.
All right, it's always a pleasure hearing from Coach Riley. Love Coach Riley. Just a good dude. Obviously a phenomenal football coach. So good for this program, the culture of this university. They might as well just have him be AD also if he has enough bandwidth. Just be head coach football and the AD. Few takeaways though. Obviously you just listened to it all, so I won't dive too deep and bore you. But Makai Lemon, I think it's a name that because of how well Zach Branch has looked, kind of forgotten. They were both the highly touted recruited, receivers in this class. Zach Branch coming from Vegas, Makai Lemon being with Malachi Nelson from Los Al, just down in the Long Beach, Southern California area. And, he got hurt in spring ball. And so I think a lot of people forgot that. It wasn't really talked about a lot. Injuries aren't talked about a lot, especially that far away or that, before the season. But as, Riley mentioned, really only got a couple practices in and then got hurt. And then the emergence of Zach Branch really took off. And so everyone kind of forgot about Makai Lemon. So I think it's really exciting to hear that he's had a really good fall camp. Because again, we're not seeing, unfortunately, we don't see 11 on 11. We don't see the scrimmages. We don't see the 7 on 7. So it's hard to see how he's progressing just from some individual drills. So it's great to hear that from Riley that, how dynamic he looks. And it's another weapon for this offense in Caleb Williams. And because he's a freshman, it's even more exciting that, obviously we're focused on this year and the team is focused on this year and winning a potential national championship. But for the future, that receiving room is going to be in very good hands as well. And Makai Lemon is going to be a big part of that. Zach Branch might be the face of it, but Makai Lemon is going to be a big, big focal point. And hey, if you have those as your 1-2 as sophomores, that's pretty good. So I thought that was good to hear. Sticking with that class, he mentioned Malachi Nelson, who obviously everyone knows, had surgery late or early in the year, I should say. Played sparingly in spring ball, but was really only 50%. And, I remember talking about after the spring game and, there was some slight concerns of just, did not look quite ready, did not look quite prepared. But obviously a lot of that was due to coming off surgery and only being 50%. I mean, you're learning a brand new offense, moving from high school to college, playing against just a program now that's going to hopefully be a juggernaut for many, many years to come, and taking that all in and playing at 50%. There's going to be some growing pains. So Riley talking about, just how much he's progressed from spring to now. And I've seen it. I've seen the ball pops off his hand. He's got a great release, great arm strength. He's a very tall, slender. So if he puts more weight on him, he's going to be that much more dynamic and, just hard to bring down from either the pocket or scrambling situations. So sky's the limit for Malachi Nelson. Happy to hear how much he's progressed and improved over that time now that he is basically 100%. So I love letting Riley talk about that, just the QB room in general, how it's a competitive group, but also a brotherhood. This is the theme a lot. If you haven't heard this, is practices and this team is competitive, but it's also about, helping each other get better to achieve the common goal. And I think that's really important. It maybe gets glossed over, but if, players and teams will always preach brotherhood and iron sharpens iron and all these things. But at the end of the day, a lot of times we see players kind of fall back on individuality, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not discounting it, but we'll see a player that, they'll preach, oh yeah, I'm here for the team. But when it comes down to it, they want theirs, right? Like at the end of the day, all these players are obviously trying to get a national title, but a good amount of them are trying to get to the dance, trying to get to the NFL, where they're going to really make a lot of money and have a career and all that stuff, and rightfully so. But I think the big theme with this team is they really, at least they're doing a really good job talking about it and showing it. We'll see it now, hopefully on Saturdays, but it really is team first. And whatever they can do to help their team, if that means taking a backseat, if that means the stats aren't going to be as good, as that means not getting as much playing time. It seems like that has been ingrained into this unit and the culture of this program. And that is, I think, very, very important moving forward. And it shows kind of what Coach Riley and his staff have been able to do in such a short time in a culture that is so about individuality. And here's a team that has so much talent as individuals, but in the game of football, you're never going to accomplish that number one goal as individuals. You have to be a fully committed collective unit, collective team. And the way everyone talks, the way everyone acts, they've all bought into that. And it was no different. Coach Riley talking about how, hey, it's competitive, but these guys are here for each other. It helps when you know that, you have the best quarterback in football. So just, hey, take whatever you can from him because you're not playing until he's gone next year. So that makes things different. But it's been talked about in the safety room, in the receiver room, in the running back room, in the linebacker room. Every room talks about it. So I think that's really important. Raleek Brown, he talked about him. I don't need to talk too much because I just talked about him for the first 8 minutes of the show, but he's gotten a lot of reps due to some guys being down. He's taken advantage of those reps. And like I mentioned, I think he looks very explosive. And I think he's going to get more playing time than probably thought back in the spring with how good this position is. Tackett Curtis, this has been a freshman that probably outside of Zach Branch is getting the most shine. A lot of excitement about Tackett Curtis, his leadership, his mentality, his ability, skill set. Lincoln Riley talked about how there's usually 3 facets in coaching a player. It's mentality, it's scheme, and it's skills, basically fundamentals. And he said, as a freshman, you got to coach him scheme. There's going to be fundamentals you're going to help on, but we don't have to do any coaching for Tackett on mentality. That's all there. The work ethic, the culture, all that. So, I mean, this is just a young kid, another recruit, another this freshman class is really going to be an incredible freshman class. And I think it's, Caleb and some of these older, Shane Lee, have kind of recreated the foundation of USC football. And now this freshman class is going to just elevate it to the next level. Because that's how I think tight-knit they are. That's how good they are. That's how high of football IQ they have. So it's really, really impressive. Last thing, he kind of mentioned the linebacker room, and Jamal and I have talked about this a ton. I mean, that was probably one of the weakest units last year. You look at the front seven as a whole, linebacker, and by weak, I mean, really, you had some really good plays from, Shane Lee had some really good moments. Ralen Goforth had some good moments, but obviously he transferred out. And then Eric Gentry had some really good moments, but he got injured. And so what made this unit weak was just the depth. Just did not have the same depth needed. And they got banged up, a lot of injuries. And so you wonder when this unit lacks so much depth, and then you see in the offseason Ralen Goforth transfers to Washington. And, I'm sure there was other factors and stuff like that, but it made you kind of wonder, like, wow, like this guy was starting last year, like what's the big deal? And then now you see with all these guys that have come up, I mean, they have a ton of depth now and a lot of talent. And so what was a weak spot last year, if everything goes well, stay healthy, and with the scheme, if they play into it correctly, this is strength. I mean, you look at Jamil Muhammad, you look at Mason Cobb, obviously Shane Lee, Romello Height coming back from injury, Eric Gentry looking like he'll be ready by week 1. And so it goes on and on. And so it's a great unit. Lincoln Riley mentioned the depth, so it's great to hear. All right, now I want to show the video of Alex Grinch, defensive coordinator, his presser. So we'll do that quick. I'll have a few comments afterwards, and we'll wrap this up. Thanks all for hanging out. But here is Alex Grinch after Monday's 8-14 practice?
Yeah, I mean, it happens, unfortunately. You know, it can happen and spread across the defense or across position groups, and then sometimes it's consolidated with just one. So a couple experienced guys were out. That doesn't make it okay, but obviously it gives some good work to the other guys, and it also makes you start thinking about, okay, if we played a game, so 3 of the top 4 linebackers, a couple situations we found ourselves in a year ago. So moving some checkers around, and so obviously you want those guys to get the work, but they also provide some opportunities when it's not game.
Is Shane ever come back to keep going?
I believe so.
What have you seen as far as Zion Branch? Obviously, had a really tough year last year, and as far as his stick-to-itiveness, his progression,
Yeah, I mean, he's been from a personal standpoint, from a work ethic standpoint. I mean, quote me as a good dude. I mean, like he checks every box, and it's one of those things where you just haven't had a chance to be a coach on the field. We got to a little bit in the spring, but he was non-contact, and there's a big part of football is the contact piece. And so now, obviously, we're very fortunate able to see like some spring 7 rounds and some of that stuff, the thuds and all that stuff that wasn't available before. So anyway, it was a good progression over the summer. His body's right, and then it was interesting to see what the fall camp is going to hold for him. He has made much progress, unfortunately. I mean, it's been real exciting to see. The credit completely goes to him, and a guy that we're excited about moving forward. So I mean, I think he'll have a role with us.
For the people lined up this year, do you feel like you kind of have to try, like there's a need to try as much stuff scheme-wise when you have more depth and leadership?
Yeah, I think sometimes you're. I guess you're always trying to find what the advantage is for you, right? And sometimes you have more than others. And sometimes it's a specific personnel, a specific guy. Think about a Tuli a year ago. What can we do with him? And then other years you feel like we got maybe the best thing we got is you got 4 guys to do one man's job type of thing if you can get into the rotation. And I'm not making a claim that we're exactly there, but on the same token is there's several names that you kind of talk about each day, and the names kind of change, and you see some body types, some guys that play for us, and some new guys that add into the mix, which adds a layer of competition to it. So I envision us playing a lot of guys on the defensive front, and expect each week to kind of be a battle in terms of who gets the most reps and stuff. But I think big picture-wise, in terms of doing more things and doing different things, I just collectively for the guys, one of the things we've given a lot of credit to. I don't know if we talked about this in the spring, but these guys have let us coach them. A lot less managing, effort and managing, at spring ball, number 1 meeting, practice 14 of fall camp. I mean, really being able to get into some situational stuff. So that's at every position. And so that, if I had to circle one real positive, and then there's been several, but one real positive, of course, of fall camp is we've been able to, this is a group that allowed us to coach them, which has been good.
If you had to go into a game, what's the one aspect of your defense you're the most confident in?
Yeah, I mean, you like to say everything, but obviously we haven't played a game yet. I mean, we the nice thing for us is we get challenged on a day-to-day basis. So you said we're going to play good quarterback play this year, which we will. We see good quarterback every single day. Spread multiple offenses we see one every single day. So I think you got to go do it on Saturday. What you've done doesn't matter, but then the same token is in terms of getting an evaluation as to where you're at. We've always been pretty good at having an understanding of kind of what those pieces are. And so, I think just a more consistent group. I mean, I've seen that. Now, again, you're 2 plays or 2 series or a quarter away from not being a consistent group. But, kind of having a better understanding on each individual call, each individual rep, and each individual position, what you're going to get on a given down. And a little bit less, hope for execution type of thing. So, I give these guys credit from a consistency standpoint.
Solomon seemed a bit overshadowed from the camp. What's he showing you?
Well, I tell you, he is a guy that probably like some other guys I can mention, but the rep counts add up. It's the cumulative impact of playing college football Saturday. And obviously, he played several before he got with us, but he played on some major stages last year, and then got some results in a positive way, and then other Saturdays, maybe he didn't. And so, both of those things are matter to progress of an individual player. Unfortunately, the off-season surgery, and so missed so much time for us. And, the good things you saw progress despite not getting some of those reps in spring, and kind of being on the shelf a little bit. He's shown well. He's been productive for us, and some of those big-time plays you saw a year ago have shown up. And again, another guy I would mention from a consistency standpoint has shown up. It's been good.
Darren, notwithstanding physical skills, but where do you see him kind of fit in otherwise, just in general, in this game and kind of handle the changeover?
Yeah, no, I think, for us, and when you and I talked, we kind of take the approach with our guys where we put a lot in early. There's two theories to it. You have to go slow, steady, and you kind of, as you approach the game, just kind of spoon feed guys versus put it all in, kind of whole part, whole type of thing. So we've always taken that approach. And so for a new guy coming in, there's a lot added. And missed a little time early, just getting banged up. Nothing too serious, but missed a little time. That puts you a little bit behind. So really excited about it. You see the explosiveness, the strengths, and all that stuff. I think it's obviously a big time added for us. Again, another guy we expect to have a good time with.
All right. Few quick pointers. Sage one about Alex Grinch. I always love talking to him, love hearing him talk to the media. He gives such well thought out, long-winded sometimes answers. He's not pushing you away. When you ask him a question, he's going to give you a very detailed response. So I always appreciate that when any coach does that. Alex Grinch is always like that. Win, loss, practice, whatever. I mean, I was in those press conferences and locker room after games last year, and when the defense blew it, like he talked all about it. When they won, but the defense faltered at the end, he went all into it. So he doesn't shy away. So I always have appreciated that after that, as you can kind of hear from his answers. But excited to hear he believes Shane Ray and Gentry will be ready for week 1. Really excited to just see, I just mentioned it before his presser, but just this linebacking room in general, like who are going to be your true starters? Is it going to be, Mason Cobb, I think, is the obvious one. And then how do they kind of have that rotation of Shane Lee, Eric Gentry, Jamil Muhammad, and others? And do they have some guys kind of play different packages and whatnot? So I think it's going to be really exciting to see this unit up close and personal in that week 1 matchup. And we'll see if we get any more kind of clarity on Wednesday and then next week going into the game week. Talked about Zion Branch. Not to be confused with Zachariah Branch. Zion Branch, safety, injured all of last year. This dude is going to be special, I think. Just glowing reviews about Zion in fall camp. You heard Grinch talk about he doesn't know anyone that's had a better 14 days than Zion Branch. Zion Branch was doing interviews afterwards, so we got to see him. He's just built like an NFL defensive back. And he probably will be one if he's able to now jumpstart his career and stay healthy. So very exciting to hear a guy like Zion Branch that was probably forgotten. Everyone, obviously, we know Calen Bullock, how he is, and other members of the secondary either coming back from last year or transferring over. And it was kind of forgotten that Zion Branch was this kind of big guy coming in and missed all of last year. And now we're seeing the reviews. Excited to see him on game day, but everything we're hearing is just he checks every box and is just a playmaker on that back end. So last thing, I think that's just really important to talk about the defense is Coach Burns talked about consistency. There was a myriad of issues with the defense last year, but one of them was consistency, right? Like we saw, it could be week to week, could be quarter to quarter. It could be drive to drive where we'd see some really good things like, oh, okay, they're getting together and then fall apart a drive later or a quarter later or a game later. And so obviously it's practice, but hearing him talk about he has seen things look a lot more consistent than last year. That is real reason for optimism for this unit to be a lot better than where they were. So quick one. Well, I guess it ended up being 30 minutes or so not as quick as I was originally planning, but thanks all for hanging out. That's your update from USC Trojan Camp Monday, August 14th. I'll be back out there Wednesday and going into the season. So excited to cover this football team. Again, hit me up, Twitter, Ryan Dowd, LAFB. Make sure you follow our channels. LAFB Network's the main one. We got our, USC LAFB is just the USC specific YouTube channel. And also we have a Twitter handle we just launched. So make sure to follow those and check those out. We'll be back. Jamal and I will be back on Thursday and on radio on Friday, talking more USC Trojans. I'm Ryan Dowd. Thanks all for hanging out. Everyone take care. Fight on.
You're listening to the LA Football Podcast.